Greetings, I am Erin Patten, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. Greetings, I am Erin Patten, and welcome to the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I am so happy to be back with you all this week after being away for a couple weeks, and I'm also really grateful for having that time off because so often we are in grind mode, especially me, grind mode, and so it's nice to be back after a little bit of rest and respite, if you will. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me at I am Erin Patten across social media channels. Like this video, share it with a friend, leave me a comment below, DM me if you need to, because I would love to hear from you and I would love to hear how this content resonates with you. And today I really want to get into a conversation that's really been just happening in my area. Like I'm based in Houston. I'm from Houston, and very recently we endured a pretty intense hurricane storm, Hurricane Beryl, that went through the Caribbean, it hit Mexico, it hit Houston, and it really demolished our city. Like right now, it's been 5-6 days since the storm hit, and people are still without power. People are still without water, and it's just also just a greater metaphor for life because it's everything that's happening in our physical world. It definitely is a reflection of our inner world, our metaphysical world, our intangible world, if you will. And there are constantly storms happening in our lives. There are constantly challenges happening in our lives, and we want to be able to recover more quickly and recover with ease and recover with resolutions. And I would have to say that right now, the city of Houston is not having a speedy recovery. And don't want to get into necessarily the specifics of the situation or the politics of the situation. I'm just utilizing it as an example of what can happen in our own personal lives, what can happen in our own organizations, what can happen in our businesses when we do not have a solid foundation, a solid infrastructure, planning, strategy, ways to recover when there's conflict or when there's storms, when there's challenges. And so with that, I really want to get into talking about my journey, our journey in building that solid foundation. Because one thing that was coming up for me when I was traveling and having the time to really rest and disconnect from work, if you will, was how far I've come, how much I've grown in laying the foundation for the empire that I'm building for my business, for the meta business world. And for those of you who are new to me and new to my work, I've been doing this work now for about 3.5 years. And the focus has been on the integration of spirituality, the integration of consciousness, of awareness, and business. And when I started, I really wanted to become a speaker. I really wanted to be a speaker. I really wanted to do this work. Yet I was guided on a more scenic route, if you will. So I started with my accelerator program, my Soulful Accelerator, where I worked with women and entrepreneurs on how to start to see themselves differently, to see themselves in a more divine, higher light as they move towards a path on business and entrepreneurship. And this is a step further from the self-development work. And that self-development, of course, focuses on how you can show up, physically, things you can do tactically. Yet this work is truly about aligning with source, aligning with the universe, and aligning with your true purpose, why your soul came to this planet. And And so I continued to do this work, and I ended up through that accelerator program acknowledging, wow, this is something way more powerful than just working with individuals. This is something that can really impact industries, organizations, the collective as a whole. And that's when I decided I really want to work in business. I went to Harvard Business School. I went to Macomb School of Business undergraduate program at University of Texas. I went to Lamar High School's business magnet program. So I've really been wanting to be a businesswoman from a very young age. And for me, I was running from that because I never saw myself as a business person. I never saw myself as my peers, if you will, that I was in school with. I wasn't like them. Yeah, I was intelligent, I could do the work, but my personality is different vastly. And so I really um I would say doubted myself, doubted my success in this industry as a businesswoman until I became more, if you will, aligned with my higher purpose and saw myself as a meta businesswoman as opposed to just a regular businesswoman. And and that's when I literally got my first client at Frog Design and started working with them and doing wellness workshops with them and exploring other options of supporting their organization as they were going through a merger and acquisition. And that started to really dovetail into something way deeper for me in my life. And I realized then that I needed more intentional healing for that work to really blossom and be successful. And and as I continue to grow my own development, as I became a yoga teacher instructor, I started practicing Tai Chi and realizing how deeply I needed to heal in order to hold this big dream and vision I had for the meta business world, which was called Erin Patten and Associates at the time. I had envisioned a new age business consultancy where folks like me and folks who were trained by me and other folks that wanted to really take business from the old way, how I like to say the way we've done business in the past is not compatible with how we're going to do business in the future, and really, you know, giving Bain and Company, McKinsey and Deloitte and all those big three consulting firms a run for their money and really approaching business strategy, business organization, business structures differently. And that's a huge vision to come after these really established, disrupting these really established consulting industries with metaphysics. And I thought that I could do that then. And I still know that I can do it now. Yet I had to get the grounding. I had to build the infrastructure. I had to have the foundation. And this is essentially what I'm saying, like the city of Houston was lacking in terms of weathering this storm when the whole downtown floods, when power goes out for days, when there isn't the water supply is ruptured. Where is the infrastructure? Where is the foundation? Where is the capacity and the space for change, for adaptation, for growth, for expansion, for challenges? And I didn't have that either because soon after I wanted to go on this path, I got hit with, multiple legal cases that were, familial cases, family custody cases, an issue with real estate that I was dealing with. On top of that, managing the health of my mother, whose health circumstances were changing and shifting dramatically. She being diagnosed with dementia, and so many challenges and storms, if you will, and floods were being thrown my way. And I did not have the infrastructure, I did not have the foundation at that time, per se, to weather huge, those huge burdens, if you will. And of course, I'm still thinking a lot along the lines of a regular business person. Okay, I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing through. Why am I not being seen? Why am I not getting traction? Where are the results? Where are the numbers? And it's because I needed to be able to build that capacity to hold the space for all of these things at the same time. And I know that to be the case now that I have the energetic capacity to kind of to do all these things, and now really embarking on this next level of my journey as an international corporate speaker, is I now can weather the storms, and I've put in the work necessary to heal and to grow, to really be able to have the infrastructure and the foundation to be grounded and secure whatever happens. And I'm saying all this to say that you, as a leader, wherever you are in your journey, whether it's at the tip top of the mountain or you're down in the valley and climbing your way back up, or you're somewhere in the middle, understand that at each of these points, you must always be deeply connected to purpose, your core purpose, and the foundation for which you need to build whatever it is that you're building, and constantly be tending to that infrastructure, constantly be checking those foundational aspects of yourself, of your vision, of your values. Because when that storm comes in, unexpected or expected, it can rattle up everything, and you want to be able to sustain it. You don't want to be wiped out because of it. And when I'm telling you, when you get wiped out, it affects everyone around you. Just like in the city of Houston, millions of people are affected. People have died. People are suffering. People aren't making it to work. I'm dealing with that too, myself personally, having staff and things in my home. People aren't being able to come in. It's really challenging for people out here. And this could be the same in your life, in your organization, when your infrastructure and when your foundation are not properly sound. So, how we come to ensure that we have a proper foundation, that we have the proper infrastructure, is by doing those daily check ins, those minute to minute check ins if we have to. We have to be able to know where we are, where we stand, and working also, I have to say that working with people like me, working with professional coaches, there's so many coaches out there now, life coaches, diet, like nutritional coaches, physical training coaches, get them all. Invest in yourself to make sure that you are able to weather all the storms in your life and be prepared for it. There is no greater investment in this day and time than in yourself. I someone was asking me recently, kind of what do I also do, and a couple people actually. I'm a real estate investor. I do financial investments. I manage a portfolio, if you will, and that those are great opportunities for equity, for cash, for other resources. Yet there is no greater asset than your own soul and your body that houses it. And when you aren't making those proper investments in yourself, then you can guarantee that your world will eventually crumble. And when I say that your world will crumble, you will not experience the joy and the bliss that you're promised in this life. You will have the physical ailments, the unhappiness, the early demise, if you will. And I'm not wishing that upon anyone. It's just a true fact that the wealth that you seek in money and material things actually comes from within. It actually comes from you having a solid infrastructure in your being, your emotional being, your soul being, your spiritual being, and your physical being. All of these things must be tended to. And then you can see how that begins to reverberate and affect the environment around you. We are creators of our own realities as divine beings and as human beings. We have these very gifts and abilities. And with that, one of the ways that you really can start to tend to that, as I mentioned before, is working with a professional. And whoever you choose to do that with is who you choose. And I highly recommend energy healers. I do the energy healing work in business. There are other people who do energy work in the physical aspect and the business and the life aspect to really start to know who you are. Because the more you allow yourself, and the reason why I say energy healers is because they're able to see you beyond the resume and your child and your childhood, whatever you share with them. They're able to see into your soul, see into your being, into your aura, if you will, your spirit. And this is a deeper aspect of yourself. And actually, it's the true essence of who you are. And the more that we start to pay attention to this true essence of ourselves, the more that we can start to actualize, self actualize. And when we were really young, and I can't remember what grade we started doing this work in, but we learned Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we learned about shelter and food and camaraderie and community. And as you go up the pyramid, it gets smaller. And at the top is the self actualization. Well, I have to say that in this day and time, you know, all praises to God, glory to the universe and everything, that many of us are in this stage where we want to have that self actualization experience. We want the fulfillment. We want the happiness. We're searching for something deeper. That's soul level shit. That's not something that you get just by going to the club or going to the bar, or going to a nice restaurant, even going on a fancy trip. Because at the core, your soul is seeking the growth. Your soul is seeking the awakening. That's the reason why you came here. That's the reason why you incarnated. Many of you, especially that are watching this podcast at this time, are listening to it. And in order to be able to do this work, it really requires us to have that reflection in someone else. And I see this on other coaches' pages or other inspirational pages, that the more that we're able to see ourselves through other people, the more that we work with other people, the more we're able to see ourselves. We're a reflection of others, especially others that are a little bit more ahead than we are. And that's what I would highly recommend if you're seeking a coach or seeking support at this time, is to find someone who's just a little bit ahead of where you are, someone who you admire, someone who you trust, of course, in this at right now, and being able to learn from him or her, being able to learn from their experiences, being able to see you where you are, see your truth, empower you, inspire you, not put you down, not make you feel ashamed. These are characteristics that you should be looking for in mentors, in coaches, in teachers. And I remember there was such a long time in my life where I just deeply desired a teacher, deeply desired a mentor, deeply desired a coach, and no one was manifesting for me. Be patient. Because that was me for a long time. I was constantly seeking someone to support me and really couldn't find that real support. And now I have the best mentors in the world, and Max and Jasmine. I've shared, how I go to Tampa to work with them, and it's been just a dream come true to have folks that really are able to work with me on my journey. And this is what I also just hope for you and encourage for you, is being able to find that support in friends and family and mentors and teachers that can continue to support your infrastructure build, your foundational attunement, so that you can be able to weather any storm in your personal life or in your organization. And I want to also use this time to talk a bit more about my journey. I started with the Erin Patten and Associates and how I moved into working with business organizations. And currently, the Meta Business world works with organizations to do just this. I come in, I do the Meta Business VIP Activation Day. I really am able to see people and work with them where they are. Work with them where they are to take them to the next level, both energetically, physically, and metaphysically, of course. And so this looks like everything from workshops to retreats to virtual coaching to speaking. And this is something that is very unique to the Meta Business VIP Day activation. And also, I do the meta strategy work where I'm able to work with organizations and really supporting that foundational infrastructure aspect in the vision and values work. And so, this actually runs over several months of time where I work with senior leaders, with teams to really think about what their vision is, where they're going, what they're arcing towards. Because without a vision, the people will perish. And that's scripture, that's law, that's truth. And so, as you craft your vision, you want it to be the highest version of your vision, the highest version of where you can go. And then aligning your values with that vision so that gives you the roadmap of getting there. So, when the storm hits, you have the plan to get back on track. You have the guardrails, if you will, not to fall off the road. And this is super important in this day and time because so much and so many of our folks and organizations and my peers and the memes that I see on social media are around the toxicity in organizations, the lack of values in organizations, and the lack of community. And essentially, when there are shared values, when there are shared vision, there is deeper community connections. There are deeper conscious connections between the individuals. And the more that we have that, the farther we can go. And last but not least is my speaking work. So this fundamentally is what's going to bring me the most fulfillment and also likely the most fun for organizations is for me to come in and do exactly what I'm doing today, talking about my story, sharing my narrative, inspiring others to change. Because this is very similar to the activation in that I come with this energy that is very new to people and also very awakening. And this is essentially what our collective needs in this time is to be able to see the difference in our work environments, to understand that these can actually be pleasurable experiences. I can actually wake up and want to be here with these people and have the desire to be there with these people, to do something different in the world because we're actually creating change. We're actually not being burnt out. We're being energized by this work. And that truly takes someone like me to be able to come in and create and craft that opportunity for you. And so I hope this gives you a more clear understanding of who I am and what I do and why this topic is so important to me right now, because I'm just really feeling and sensing the lack of inspiration, of motivation, the disconnection in leadership, the misguidance and miseducation in leadership as well. And it just is time for change. It's really time for us to be able to slow down, stop if we need to, take a few steps back if we have to, and rebuild, refine who we are, where we're going, and have that strong, solid foundation and infrastructure to be able to build and grow stronger and more sustainable so we aren't knocked out every time there's a storm. We aren't in distress every time something goes awry. And this is what's happening today. And this is what I'm feeling and sensing today in my city, in my community, in my environment. People are in distress because we lack that foundational support. We lack a sound infrastructure, both physically and metaphysically. And so, if this message deeply resonates with you, please definitely drop a comment, shoot me a DM, share this with a friend, And I really want to hear from you. And I really just want to hear too, what are you doing to really build up your infrastructure, whether it's in your personal life, in your business, in your organization? What are you doing to really cultivate a solid foundation so that your work, your purpose can be fulfilled and be fulfilled with so much fun, with playfulness and with pleasure? And with that, I just want to thank you all so much for tuning into this podcast. If you haven't already, I invite you to follow me at I am Erin Patten across social media platforms. Also, I have my website, www.erinpatten.com, where you can check out more of my resources. You can find more information about how to work with me, whether it be the Meta Business VIP Day or the Meta Strategy work or the speaking, because this is the time to really be your best, be at your best, and bring your best to the world. All right. Much love and light. Peace. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.